when we think of traditional architecture, the images of Taj Mahal, Red Fort immediately pop up in your mind. But when we think of modern architecture, there are not so much that, pops up in your mind immediately. What, according to you, is representative of modern Indian architecture?
This modern architecture didn't link with the traditions of our country. It just came up like that. You could build anything, glass, concrete. You compare Delhi and Chandigarh, both are different. Delhi has a cultural continuity, whereas Chandigarh is totally alien. It's concrete, glass, it's not Indian. If you go to Europe, you can find buildings like that. But Delhi is more sensible. Latins Delhi, you go and you see the niceties of craftsman work, the local materials, the sandstone and different type of sandstone, the craftsmanship, everything was amazing. That is the difference between modern architecture and or vernacular architecture.
Michael, I just want to get you in and ask you, where does modern architecture derive its inspiration from in terms of aesthetics, in terms of design, and how has it evolved?
There's a large drive right across to kind of look back into the past and look at processes that are sustainable, look at systems that are far more smarter to use for architecture today. And I think that is one of the principal things that's really driving this whole vision of what can be done. And I think if you scale this out from a building to say a city, there are a lot of things that crop up. Is how do you create a character to a city, and how do you make one city look different from another? And today, when you move from one city to another in India, they're very similar in terms of expression. And I think that's a challenge that's really coming up now, and for modern architects in being able to kind of look at how we can localize expressions.
What are we as Indians doing in terms of bringing in smart and eco-friendly product designs and building materials? And if I may ask you, because you are into manufacturing of a lot of them, what role does technology play in all this?
I think technology will play a very great role in making sure, one, delivery comes at a quicker pace and delivery comes at a quicker cost, because a lower cost. Because the problem with the old technology and the old mindset is that we take years and years to implement projects, and when we are talking of large, mass scale, low cost projects, it has to be done in a different manner. So, precast, pre-made, simpler systems which are bolt-on rather than made on site have to be looked at, rather than, the traditional systems which take too much time and also they cost too much today. Particularly there's all this buzzword going around in terms of low-cost housing. Low-cost housing has to be, for it to be genuine, it has to be low cost. So if you can get the sweet spot would be, delivering to people homes at 5 to 10 lakh rupees, and there everybody who's a constituent has to play a role. The manufacturers have to evolve technologies which are smarter, quicker, cheaper. The government has to do its own bit in terms of giving the underlying land or some kind of a package with the developers which is subsidized, because the land itself is the biggest impediment to low-cost housing is today the cost of land in everywhere across the country.
Yeah. Mr. Somani touched upon the fact, a very relevant topic, which is lack of space and rehabilitation of slum dwellers. How can designing intelligently, building intelligently help solve this problem according to you?
And intelligent housing schemes definitely makes sense, because building is actually using about 30% of the energy that we produce. For constructing buildings and to sustain the buildings, we are using about 30%, because buildings are the energy guzzlers. In fact, all the products are coming out with energy efficiency, but buildings are not. So we have to see that every building is energy efficient. We should produce our own electricity. In fact, the solar panels can be used as a roof, and we can use the entire building to produce power for our needs.
Ma'am, what are some of the biggest challenges an architect or a designer today faces while building?
There are two things. One, as Sandeep mentioned, is the very, very high cost of land. So I don't know where one can get low-cost housing. So solutions have to be found that you go intelligently vertical, but up to what extent you go vertical, and also keeping in mind human scales. Developers, they play an important role, have to get together with practitioners of the trade, that is architects and designers, and government. And I think there have to be very, very sympathetic policies which are rooted in reality. These have to be put into force and then move forward. And there has to be a very fast pace of moving forward. Otherwise, the homeless will remain homeless.
Michael, I just want to get you in, and I want to talk to you, or rather ask you, that there is a whole new generation of architects and designers who are adhering to intelligent building and designs. How much of this is just following a trend, or is there more substance to it?
I don't think it's a trend today. It's the natural course that architecture needs to take and design in general needs to take. It's a time when we are also pushed against a wall and we need to think smart and intelligent about every single thing. And I think that applies to architecture as well. You know, we as citizens, I have a strong belief that we need to change in the way we also respect property that doesn't belong to ourselves. The public design you can't have great public design or great public experiences if we don't have respect for it as citizens. And I think we have a large palette of aids now that allow us to do virtually anything, and I think we just need to be very smart about it.
Okay. Mr. Samani, we've just established that modern architecture and design is utility driven. It kind of stems out of the need to be practical and environmental friendly, but how pocket friendly is it? Is it within the means of a common man?
More and more so, because one of the things you will observe about technology is the original development cost is expensive, but the cost of technology in most product categories is actually falling. So product innovation is becoming cheaper, and those benefits are transferred to the consumer. So I think it is quite affordable. In India particularly, we are quite proud as a nation on making affordable products. So I think if you take the hype apart of some of the new product which they charge you a premium for the innovation, for most other product categories, I think innovation comes to the consumer for virtually free or for free. If you take our product category, where I was talking earlier to you about low water consumption, companies don't charge anything extra from the consumer. So, you know, it's an added facility being given. It's a competitive advantage being created vis-a-vis your competitors, but the consumer doesn't pay anything extra.
We see a lot of emphasis being laid on conserving heritage structures, but not a lot of it reflects in modern design today. Is it a paradox of sorts? Are we kind of moving away from our own culture and art sensibilities?
Historically, we should now go back into our own histories and see where older structures should have second lives, should be reused. In India it has started, but in the West it's proving to be extremely successful. And I think we who have so many structures should really be showing the way to what you can do with, take Delhi for instance. I mean, Delhi is one of the oldest known capitals in the world. Now there are so many structures that before they fall and collapse and go out of the listing, even out of the state or the archaeological survey listing, they should be made to be intelligently reused.
Have we kind of moved away from integrating traditional design and embraced more of modern design into our architecture today?
No, we are actually coming back. In fact, what Sunita was telling about adaptive reuse of structures. In fact, the younger generation is actually, they are interested in, they're coming forward to, they enjoy traditional buildings and this ancient technologies better than the modern architecture. And basically 3 R's: reduce, reuse and recycle is the principle of sustainability.
Sustainability is definitely the need of the hour. But tell me, Ms. Kohli, is it possible to truly be sustainable in today's day and age?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And without it, we would not only have failed our country, we would have failed ourselves as designers and architects. And I mean, these things have to be brought to the forefront, and they have to play, sustainability has to play a very crucial role, and it has to be the bedrock of where we move forward into modern architecture.
Design Masters is a challenge to unearth the most promising architects in the country. To register for the Design Masters Challenge, log on to ethosindia.in or SMS DEG to 51818. For more information, log on to designmasters.moneycontrol.com.